Hey everybody, let's do some charts and graphs, all right? I'm going to be doing kind of not a tutorial as much as a background video on how to put together some charts and graphs, and this is to better help you or better prepare you for that week 5 assignment, creating and working with charts and graphs. So it's not a tutorial in the sense that I'm going to be walking you step by step on how to do this assignment, because I think you can do that, and after this video it should be very easy for you to do. Really what I want to do is just give you some sort of foundation for how these charts and graphs kind of how they're developed at all in Excel. Many of you have never done this before, and it's a bit daunting, but don't worry. After watching this video, I think you're going to feel very, very comfortable doing these kinds of assignments. So we have the assignment here with the instructions. Your goal is to actually get 2 charts done. One's going to be a pie chart, the other one's going to be a column chart. And again, pretty straightforward once you get into it, okay? The first one's called the fruit survey. You say the different kinds of fruits right there. The second one's called class enrollments. This is basically a breakdown of how many students are in these different kinds of classes. So what you're going to do is follow these instructions to the letter, and then you're going to be able to develop some really interesting charts off of them. So whenever we do a chart or a graph in Excel, we first need a table. And so the instructions here, a large portion of them, these first couple of steps, are all about creating a table from which one draws the information to go into the chart or the graph. So let's turn to that. I have Excel open right here, and I have 2 tables that I've created just for this specific reason. One is on flowers, tulips, daffodils, etc., and the amounts of flowers. I just made these things up, and they look pretty drab, pretty ordinary, but don't worry, in a couple minutes we're going to make them pop. The next one is kind of a student grade breakdown, the number of students and their percentages, their grade. So the goal is to take this data, this information, these data, and put them into charts and graphs that really are eye-catching, that really make this thing pop, okay? This is really important, not just for this assignment, but going forward when you're on the job and your boss needs you to put together some sort of charts or something that'll eventually go into, say, a PowerPoint presentation. You want to have something that appeals to the eye a little bit, and it's not that difficult to do. So what are we going to do? Well, first and foremost is we want to actually highlight the data that we want to actually appear in the chart or the graph itself. So I'm going to highlight both columns there, not the titles, so we'll get to that in a minute, but both the columns of data. And if I'm going to insert a table or a chart or a graph, I'm going to go to the Insert tab. And right over here we have this charts family, all these different kinds of buttons. What I recommend, and frankly what Excel recommends, is going to the aptly named recommended charts. And there's a reason for that. You can choose all manner of charts there, but based on the kind of information you have, there's a lot of charts that are just not going to work for what you want. You might say, well, I want this really sweet chart that's all elaborate and all these bells and whistles. Yeah, but if you have some really basic data, it's not going to work that way. You're not going to get the kind of chart you want. So Excel essentially tries to assume what you're trying to do with the amount that you have highlighted, and it gives you suggestions. And this is really where I think you should go. So right here it says recommended charts. I mean, there are the all charts, but again, not everything is going to render properly. So these are the recommended charts. Most of them are column or bar charts, but we also have a pie chart. Well, we know we want to do a pie chart because that's one of the ones we're going to be doing in this assignment. So I'm going to click on this, and boom, it shows you kind of a thumbnail and a bigger picture of what this is going to look like. And a pie chart's important because it does show proportions of a whole. So if you're trying to have a breakdown of a whole group of something into its different parts, the pie chart's the way to go. So we're going to use a pie chart, and when we click on it, it'll appear right there in the middle. I'm going to broaden it a little bit just to make it a little easier to see. And so we see down here at the bottom, this is what's called the legend. The legend is how we read the data in the pie chart. And so we have the breakdown of all the different kinds of flowers, and it's given a designated color, and we see it up there. Pretty nice, right? Well, yes, but at the same time, there's more that we can do with this. We notice, though, up here at the top, this is basically how our ribbon looks until we click in it, and now we have these different chart tools that we can use. So this is important because you can choose a design. You can make it look different. There's all manner of different kinds of things you can do with this. I don't want to get too detailed with this kind of stuff right now, but let me just choose something there. So you can choose a design. Now, we also recognize that there are some things that need to be changed, like the chart title. Well, that doesn't seem to work. So if I click on twice and then usually a third time, I can actually change it. So I'm going to say flower chart, if I can spell correctly. And now we have a title. That's pretty easy to do. What you see is up here we have these three buttons as well once we click in our chart. This one here says chart elements. This allows us to kind of change around how certain things may look. Chart title, I've got one of those, but maybe I want to take it off, put it back on. Maybe I want to move it to right in the middle or somewhere else. I can do that pretty easily. Let me actually move it again so that on the above, there we go. Data labels as well. So I can take those off, I can put those on, and then the legend, which is over here, I can move that around if I want to the right, top, left, bottom, etc., etc. I'll keep that right now. Right over here is another kind of the design tab where you can change the style, the color of your chart if you want to. And we can do all manner of different kinds of things. We can change it around. You can change the colors, like kind of the color palette as well. And down here, we're going to have chart filters. We can actually take out certain elements if we want. Let's say that we only want tulips, daffodils, and roses, but everything else we don't. If I click on those and hit apply, this just shows a breakdown out of the whole of those three different kinds. So there's all sorts of things you can do with a chart like this, a seemingly basic chart. Lots of different kinds of things, but that's how we render a very, very basic pie chart. We haven't even gotten into the formatting stuff. You're going to do that in some of the other practice assignments that you're going to be able to do. Let's go on to the next one. This is what I want to make a column chart out of. So I'm going to go back to Insert, I'm going to go to Recommended Charts, and I'm going to choose a column chart. Something straightforward, something basic. Boom, we got it right there. And it's got the breakdown of the students' names. It's got each one's percentage out of 100. This is actually 120. Because we have a couple people at 100, they kind of extend it out a little bit. You can change that and you can take that out if you want. Again, chart title, you can get rid of this if you want and say student grades or something like that. There's, again, a lot of interesting stuff you can do in the design tabs. All manner of different kinds of things. You can change the chart around. You can have kind of this 3D look to it. You can change the colors themselves. Let's say you need something that's a little more, eye-catching or bright. The color palette can change. You can actually also change the specific colors I clicked on it 3 times. Let's say that I want just one of these things changed. I'm not going to go up to chart colors now, change colors now, but I can right-click. And let's say I want to change the fill to red or something like that because I want to show those students who did really well as kind of distinctive. That's pretty easy stuff to do. You can do these things quite easily, and within 2 minutes we have a pretty good eye-catching chart. Student grades, titled that. We've got all the data we need here. Everything is supposed to appear as it is. Now, there's a lot more that can be done. And you're going to learn about that in subsequent assignments. You're going to have a lot of opportunity to really get into some really cool stuff here. This is just the basics. This is just to get you familiarized with it, to get you to feel more comfortable generating charts and graphs in Excel. Once you do this a couple times, it really is a piece of cake. It goes very quickly, and you find soon enough you're creating some really elaborate charts and graphs. So of course, if you have any questions, reach out to your instructor. Reach out to that person and ask, gosh, I'm not really sure if this is going to work or not. That's why your instructors are here. And happy chart making.